Now, the other part of this scam that I really need to break down because people don't understand it exactly is the fee scam, okay? When this launched, they had 15% fees on trading. They said that this was to stop snipers. But basically what this means, and because the team now blames snipers for a lot of this rug pull, but what it means is they benefited the entire way. You can see in 24 hours, they made almost $2 million from this fee. Meanwhile, on Deck Screener, you can see the sniper, which is the #1 trader on this coin. They made about $1.3 million in their total profits and loss. So they actually made less in total profits, this sniper that ruined the project, than the team made on fees. I, of course, asked who benefited. Did Hawk2A make the money? Who made the money in this whole thing? And they essentially dodged the question. Who's making millions of dollars on fees from this rug pull?
That's not a scheme. That's the
Who's making fees?
So we can keep this thing going for years. Okay. That's how do you think? There's so many expenses.
Who makes the money on the fees? Someone just made over $1 million on fees. Who made it?
First of all, the fees were there with Meteora pools, and that goes to yes, the creator, right?
Which is who? Who does that own? Who does that belong to?
That belongs to the project.
Who's the project? Who is the project?
Well, the project is over here, Haley Welch, right? And
how much does Haley Welch own?
This is Haley Welch's project.
So she owns all of it.
CoffeeZilla.
I'm just trying to figure out who owns it.
Do you know how much it costs for lawyer fees to create a foundation in the Cayman Islands, to hire directors? You think this stuff pays for itself? You know, this is how you run a project forever, is you have to fund that. First of all, over here can speak to the extensive amount of work and time and people that are on this project. Over here has around 18 people working on this right now as we speak. This is not a small time type of nothing. We're really trying to do something here and not just do it for one day and do it for 2 days.
So who made the money? You haven't answered the question. Who made the money? How much did Haley Welch make of that million, 1.8 million?
It's a foundation that is running this project.
How much does she own of it?
It's a foundation. She owns zero of the foundation.
So y'all made the money?
No, I don't own the foundation either. A foundation.
Brother, who profited? Over $1 million was just made.
A foundation that pays people out. And by the way, CoffeeZilla, I'm not asking you, questions that are irrelevant to the most important stuff that you said. Who cares where fees go? It goes to bills.
You heard him right. Who cares where millions of dollars went? Supposedly, they have 18 people working on the Hawk2A meme token. So, I don't know if that's true, but that's at least what they're claiming. Now, the last thing I need to say before we jump into this context that you need is that there are 4 groups to look out for here. 1, you have Hawk2A girl, who is promoting this thing. 2, you have this guy, Doc Hollywood, who is like Howie Mandel's son-in-law or something like that. Like, he's this guy who has some connections in Hollywood, and he seems to be the guy connecting Hawk2A girl with crypto, and he said he was teaching her a meme coin class, okay? And he goes unhinged on her call. 3, you have the guys running the crypto token, and 4, you have the insiders who paid money to get early access to this coin and then are rug pulling a lot of Haley Welch's fans. What you want to make of that, who you exactly want to assign blame to, is up to you. A lot of people are saying, oh, she didn't know any better. She's getting taken advantage of. Maybe, or maybe she's making a ton of money, talking about Hawk2A girl. So with that said, I just want to show you the call last night. That is what I knew going into this call, and you'll see my questions target some of these different aspects of what I believe to be a scam in this call. And the last thing I have to say is that when they did do this call, they monologued for like 12 to 15 minutes before they let anyone up. So I was extremely frustrated by the time I got up. I think you'll hear a little bit of that in my voice. Not only that, this Doc Hollywood guy called people mentally ill. He said that people should be thanking him or kissing his butt, basically. for doing this for them as if he's doing them a favor, basically generally berating the people who had maybe lost money in this. And so quite frustrating to go into. And, well, anyway, enjoy.
Everyone thinks that, oh, everything's a rug. Everything's a rug. Everyone's here to you. Nah, we're here to onboard real people outside of this spaces, right? The people here, you guys are already y'all are ahead every day thinking everything's a scam. And you know what? You guys are right. Everything is a scam, but not this. Not this. We did not spend 6, 7 months of our lives dedicated to trying to do something cool, right? To do something different, not dumping on you, not bundle snipes, not 100% of the liquidity or whatever was bundle sniped by the team and propped up charts. You guys are not the target audience. Sorry to say, right? This is not the target audience.
Who's he talking
The
to?
target audience, which is why I'm even doing this, which is what's cool about it, is it's not in this spaces. And listen, most of you, we don't want you in the community. Let's be real, right? You're not great people. I don't know y'all, right? Some of you, I see some friendly faces in this audience.
He's having a meltdown.
You know, I'm gonna say y'all, you guys, right? There's a lot of negativity in the space. I think crypto brings the mentally ill into this thing, right? If you guys are in crypto, you're most likely mentally ill, and I'm gonna count myself as mentally ill for even being here right now. We're trying to actually have fun. We're trying to do something cool. We're trying to give meme tokens away for free to people who have never had any crypto before, any meme token, and you guys should be kissing my ass because I'm trying to do something dope.
Yeah, so that's how all of this started. I had watched as people got wrecked on chain, and then I go here in the actual space that's supposed to address everything, a guy berating everyone, calling them mentally ill and telling them they should be thanking him. And that's what led to sort of my attitude when I went up on stage. Also, Twitter Spaces is horrible for doing this kind of work. I normally wouldn't choose it, but all these guys seem to love Twitter Spaces. I don't know why. The problem is people filibuster. So I know I interrupted a lot. That's because you can't let these people go run off on like 10-hour explanations, which they will do if you let them. So, yeah, anyway, here's when I got up on the space.
Happy to answer any
I have
questions.
questions. I have questions. I'm raising my hand. Hey, guys.
What CoffeeZilla?
Hey,
Hey, man.
this is one of the most miserable, horrible launches I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, then why the fuck are you on?
I've been tracing it on chain for a while. You guys generated over $1 million in fees while y'all's fans got rug pulled. There was snipers, but there was also insider trading directly linked to y'all's creator account. What are you guys doing?
No. That's not true. That's
That
not
is
true.
true. That's a
No,
fact.
it's not.
Well, it's a fact, and you can see it on chain. So
Yeah, we know. We trust me. We were there. We could answer that.
you
No
know about the insider trading?
No, there's no insider trading. That's why we can answer it.
Okay, so there's tokens
CoffeeZilla,
going directly from the main account,
CoffeeZilla, just chill for a second,
and then it's getting sold for 50K. Who is that?
Definitely not us. You think we're doing this for 50K? Yeah, fucking right. Talking to the wrong guy. You're used to these bullshit scammers out here. Not us. Now
That's what everyone says, by the way.
Listen,
Everyone says,
doesn't
"Not
matter.
me."
No, I'm not everyone. There was a
You're different.
strategic allocation, right, through a foundation. Every single one of those was signed through a SAFT. The deployer wallet. You've heard of a strategic allocation or a private
How much
sale.
did y'all get doing a pre-sale? How much did y'all make?
It's not that
Selling
we
out
made.
your fans. So
Over
other
here,
people
can
can
you give
dump on your fans.
Hold on, CoffeeZilla, take a chill pill, brother.
Yeah, so
Y'all just rug pulled a bunch of people.
No, there's no rug. We're here every single day. There's no rug pulled, and it's not done by us. Yes, snipers sniped it up to an insane market cap.
No, it's
and
not
dumped
just
it.
snipers.
That was not
No,
us.
it's not
That
just
was
that, and
listen.
you know that.
Listen, no. I'm telling you the truth.
And y'all made millions on fees from this little scheme.
There's not a.
Oh, I'm sure that's not you getting
scheme.
those fees,
It's
right?
not a
Who's making
scheme.
the money
It's
on
not
the
a-
fees?
it's
Who's
not a
making
scheme.
millions of dollars on fees from this rug pull?
That's not a scheme. That's the
Who's making
project. So we
fees?
can keep this thing going for years. Okay. That's how do you think? There's so many expenses.
Who
right?
makes the money on the fees? Someone just made over $1 million on fees. Who made it?
First of all, the fees were there with Meteora pools, and that goes to yes, the creator, right?
Which is who? Who does that
which
who does that belong to?
that belongs to the project, right?
Who's the project? Who is the
that
project?
well, the project is over here, Haley Welch, right? And
How much does Haley
there's
Welch own?
This is Haley Welch's project,
So she owns all of it.
CoffeeZilla.
Did she just make $1 million on fees on a rug? I'm just trying to figure out
Do you know
who
how
owns
do you
it.
know how much it costs for lawyer fees to create a foundation in the Cayman Islands, to hire directors? You think this stuff pays for itself, right?
So y'all wanted to make the money on day one? I don't understand. I'm just asking
we're
who
here every
actually
single
makes the
day.
millions of
Day
dollars in
one,
fees from the
day
rug.
two, day three. You know, this is how you run a project forever. Is you have to fund that. First of all, over here can speak to the extensive amount of work and time and people that are on this project. Over here has around 18 people working on this right now as we speak. This is not a small time type of nothing. We're really trying to do something here, and not just do it for one day and do it for 2 days like you're
So
used
who
to.
made the money? You haven't answered the question. Who made the money? How much did Haley Welch make of that million, 1.8 million?
It's a foundation that is running this project.
How much does she own of it?
It's a foundation. She owns zero of the foundation.
So y'all made the money?
No, I don't own the foundation either. A foundation in the Cayman Islands.
Who profited? Over $1 million was just
I'm
made.
telling you, a foundation that pays people out. And by the way, CoffeeZilla, I'm not asking you, questions that are irrelevant to the most important stuff that you said. Who cares where fees go? It goes to bills. It goes
when you're
to
charging
attorneys.
15%,
it goes to accounts. It goes to directors.
you're charging
it goes to
15%
staff.
on a rug pool,
right?
and you're profiting from the
There's
rug
no
pool.
rug pull because we didn't pull a rug. I don't know what you're trying to say. It's not true. That's defamation.
Doc,
that you're saying,
do the math. Do the math.
Defamation. You're saying that we pulled a rug. There was no rug pull.
3%.
You're defaming our character.
Are you not going to let me talk? You just talk over me. You talk over me.
I'm hearing bullshit.
No, you're not. You're talking over me. Let me just lay out your tokenomics. You guys released 3% to the Meteora pool, while you have 17% of the token allocation unlocked day one from your strategic allocation. Are you guys insane?
Questions that are irrelevant to the most important stuff that you said. Who cares where fees go? It goes to bills. It goes
when you're
to
charging
attorneys.
15%,
it goes to accounts. It goes to directors.
You're charging
it goes to
15%
staff.
on a rug pool, and you're profiting from the
There's
rug
no
pool.
rug pull because we didn't pull a rug. I don't know what you're trying to say. It's not true. That's defamation.
Doc,
you're saying,
do the math. Do the math.
Defamation. You're saying that we pulled a rug. There was no rug pull.
3%.
You're defaming our character.
Are you not going to let me talk? You just talk over me. You talk over me.
I'm hearing bullshit.
No, you're not. You're talking over me. Let me just lay out your tokenomics. You guys released 3% to the Meteora pool, while you have 17% of the token allocation unlocked day one from your strategic allocation. Are you guys insane? What do you guys think exactly is going to happen when your insiders get sent their tokens? And by the way, who made the money from your 17% pre-sale while you're giving a tiny piece of the pie to the public? Like, what the hell? This is the worst tokenomics I've ever seen, and it is a scam.
It's not a scam.
The tokenomics are a scam. That's my opinion. You can say whatever you want about it. You can cry defamation. That's my opinion. It's a scam. And I only do this for a living. I've only seen 1 million of these projects.
So who pays you, CoffeeZilla? Let's.
Ooh, turn it around. Turn it around. Turn it around. Nobody's here for me. Everyone's here for you. Where did the fees go? Where did the money for the pre-sale tokens go? Why did y'all unlock day one so people could dump on Haley Welch's fans? And how involved was she really? And how much money is she making from all this? What's her cut? I just got muted. So yeah, that was the conversation. Obviously, I got a little heated there towards the end because, I don't know, there was something about this guy berating people who had lost money and insisting that what was so transparently true about the fees being made, about who's benefiting from the pre-sale, just dodging all of that, it gets me so bothered. I guess it shouldn't at this point. But, what can I say? I'm only human. I will go ahead and highlight there were two other moments. FaZe Banks got up and called these guys out, which is funny.
This 100% was a mismanaged, mislaunched. Like this is took what CoffeeZilla said. I would label this a scam as well. It's pretty obvious. Like CoffeeZilla brought up, 97% of the token was bundled into the same cluster. And in layman's terms, that just basically means 90%. 97% of all the tokens owned were by related wallets, friends of friends of friends of friends. They were
No,
like,
no, that's not true. It's not true.
yeah, yes, it is
It's
true.
false.
Yes,
It's
no,
false.
it's 100% true.
And then also Nick O'Neill, who is another crypto Twitter guy, he got up there and he asked them basically what I did because they wouldn't let me back up on the space. And he said, where's the money going to? And then Hawk to a girl, decided it was time for bed, and that was the end of the space.
So I'm sort of curious, like, not for the token price itself, but just in terms of the fact that there's fees that are being generated, there's an actual, like,
Hey
source
guys,
of income.
I hate to interrupt you, Nick. Hello there. But
Yeah.
anywho, I'm gonna go to bed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. I guess we're talking over here.
Can you imagine being asked questions about a scam, and in the middle of the questioning you go, yeah, I think I'm gonna hit the bed, Gotta wake up bright and early for tomorrow. That is just wild. These people are not serious, or at least it doesn't appear that they're taking it very seriously. I think it's concerning when you have a project which, they can say whatever they want about their 18 employees and all the, hundreds of thousands they supposedly paid to set up these, like, Cayman Island corps to do it the right way. But at the end of the day, when you make millions of dollars on launch, where does that come from? When your insiders sell $3 million, where does that come from? Maybe the normies that you were targeting to get in? That is my problem. That is my issue, and that's why I came at them so hard. And that's basically it. I think Haley Welsh, or Hawk to a girl, to whatever extent she was involved is still unclear, or was unclear until her transactional entertainment lawyer contacted me. I'm just editing this live, guys. He contacted me and said he wants to have a offline combo. I said I can't do that. This is a live story. If she wants to comment on the story or shed light on how much she's been paid, kindly respond. I'll put up all these screenshots. They say she was paid in advance from a company to handle the token marketing dev launch of $125,000. That's the only money she's seen to date. If you have any specific questions, happy to answer. I said, what company was she paid by? What's the agreement? Did she see a cut of the pre-sale or fees from the liquidity pool? The best thing for my story is to get a copy of the agreement, of course. Christian replies, she was supposed to get 50% of net proceeds after payments of costs to third parties. Is that the 18 employees or whatever they have? I don't know. I don't know what costs they have, but 50% is a lot. They were supposed to be mutually approved between her and the company. All decisions regarding to allocation were supposed to be mutually approved. Those decisions haven't been made at this point. The goal would be to salvage the token for the holders and her true fans and do right by the community. That's not going to happen. I can't provide the actual contract, as you can imagine, but I'm happy to continue to be responsive. Your spaces and comments have been helpful, blah, blah, blah. I appreciate what you... Okay, we all know. They always say that, by the way. This guy does not appreciate what I do, I don't think. An entertainment lawyer appreciating somebody talking about somebody, I don't think that's true. Look, the big deal, what he said, is 50% net proceeds. That's a lot, actually. Now, again, 18 employees working on the Hawk to a coin. I don't know how much they're going to end up seeing at the end of the day, but it's going to be real money. The question about, like, salvage the coin, want to salvage the coin. Guys, the problem is you've sold millions of dollars of pre-sale tokens, and they're still out there. There's still people with these coins who are waiting to sell. So the second you go and salvage it for the fans, you're kind of dooming them again. So the best situation is just people, I don't really know. I don't like to give advice in situations like this. It's like asking someone how to clean up a car crash. It's like, well, ideally, this wouldn't have happened in the first place. So can't give too much advice there. The situation's horrible as it is. I appreciate them actually responding, though. But she is actually making a lot of money off of this, and I do actually think that's a problem. So, I don't know. I think this whole situation is terrible, and she should feel bad. I hope she does, really, because she got in bed with these people who clearly saw dollar signs. She saw dollar signs, and they did this, and people have been hurt. So, yeah, that's basically it. Oh, one more message from Hawk's lawyer. This guy keeps messaging me. He says, this was not a speculative opportunity for her. She truly didn't intend to fleece fans. She genuinely wanted to make this a community token of fans and onboard Web 2 to Web 3 and be a long-term face.
With a random meme.
Today we're breaking down the Netflix keeps trolling me, and I want to talk about it. Let me warn you, this will be incredibly petty. Yes, I'm grateful to be on Netflix, blah, blah, blah. Okay, you're not here for that. You want to know how this megacorp has been systemically trolling me for 4 years. Let me get you up to speed. 4 years ago, I was invited to be on a documentary to talk about Get Rich Quick schemes. It was going to be featured on Netflix. I was going to get on camera, answer some questions, you know, the whole deal. Right before they fly in, I literally signed releases. I get an email, hey, your show's too legally risky. We cut it. Sorry, too bad. Now, that's already a bit of a troll to do it right before I'd even told my family, like, hey, I'm going to be on Netflix. And then, oops, maybe not. And I'm not even sure how they thought I was legally risky. You know, look me up. I am very even-keeled. Nobody ever goes after me for legally anything. But okay, you want to do it, it's fine. It's your right as the showrunners or whatever. And to be honest, they gave me sort of a consolation prize. I think they felt bad for me. They said, we'll give you a credit in the show, even though I frankly didn't deserve it, and I had never appeared in the show. But I say, okay, cool, appreciate that. At least my parents can watch me, you know, on the credits of Netflix. But then Netflix trolls me again, because then there's this autoplay feature, and I'm placed after the autoplay feature, like that little bar that says like next episode. I'm right after that. So it's almost impossible to find me. So, okay, whatever, it happens. And actually, I kind of used it as a joke. I put as seen on Netflix as my channel banner for years. I thought it was a funny, playful way to memorialize this moment. But then, just a couple days ago, a family member hits me up, and then another different family member, and both of them tell me the same thing. Did you know you're on Netflix? So I'm freaking out. I'm like, what? And then a fan hits me up. Same thing. You're on Netflix. So I'm thinking, there's no way all these guys dug me up from the Netflix credit trenches. I haven't been contacted about this at all for years. And then they explain, no, there's this new show called Biggest Heist Ever where you appear. And I'm even more confused. I know I didn't film an interview for that show unless they memory wiped me Men in Black style. So I don't remember this at all. So I Google it. It's about Razzlecon, who is this girl. Basically, her boyfriend and her allegedly laundered money. And in particular, she rapped and called herself the Crocodile of Wall Street, which made her a meme after they were arrested. So then I kind of remember, well, I made a video about that on CoffeeZilla. Maybe they used my footage. But I didn't license anything to them. I didn't get paid. Maybe they just used it under fair use. And you know what? I can't say anything about that. Live by the fair use, die by the fair use. Fine, okay. But I kind of want to know, if I was legally too risky 4 years ago, what could have been possibly safe for them to take? You know, I haven't exactly gotten calmer with time. So I'm watching this documentary, and to my surprise, I appear not once, but twice. And both times, you know, I'll be honest, I was hoping to appear as, and maybe it's aspirational, you know, a hard-nosed detective uncovering financial fraud with complex financial analysis. You know, it's aspirational, fine. But that is kind of how I hope to be remembered by Netflix. But instead, I'm the cringe detective of the internet. I'm not joking. I'm going to show you what I mean. Well, originally I was going to show you what I mean on Netflix, like with their footage. But ironically, when I queued it up in my browser to react to, they block it. Like they block your screen recorder because of their digital rights management tool. I guess they don't want anyone stealing their copyrighted material. Even though if I did it, it would definitely be fair use. But I guess it doesn't work that way. When you want to take from the, you know, multi-billion-dollar megacorp, that's not okay. When they want to take your footage, it's fine. It's fair use, bro. So instead of showing it to you in context, I'm going to have to describe to you what's going on. Just imagine a pretty mediocre but very nicely produced documentary where you've got these serious people talking about, you've got like people talking about investigations, FBI raids. And I'm thinking I fit right in, right? As the hard-nosed financial detective, just kind of noir, maybe smoke in the room. I don't know what I'm envisioning. Instead, here's what we got. Here's my first feature. I have to pull it up on my YouTube channel. I'll just pick out the parts they used. It comes right after one of RazzleCon's ridiculous rap videos. Here's my great analysis.
It's so bad that it might be good.
That's all I get for my Netflix debut. The great analysis of it's so bad, it's good. I didn't even know what my voice was there. And this terrible crop in. What are you thinking? By the way, my editor did me dirty with this hairline. And they memorialized this on Netflix. Why would you cut me off right here? Okay, nobody needs to see that. So anyway, that is fine, I guess. That is not the worst one, though. The worst one is my cringe detective moment. Because part of this is they're trying to to demonstrate that the internet thought RazzleCon was not just bad, but cringe. And so they had me on as the, detective who's supposed to be demonstrating that. So here's also my great future analysis. This is much later in the piece. Here we go. Here's what I said.
Especially Heather Morgan should be incarcerated for at least another 25 years, purely on the basis of being unbearably cringe.
That's it, folks. According to Netflix, I'm the kind of guy who assigns prison sentences solely on the basis of cringe. As I said, look, we all say things we're proud of, we're not proud of. I'm not saying that I didn't say that. I'm saying if you're going to feature me on Netflix, don't do me dirty and show one of the dumbest things I've ever said, right? Show some of my graphics. Show some of my stories where I actually have done some real work here instead of me going, so bad it might be good? Maybe you go to jail on the basis of being cringe? Yeah, so that's it. That's the whole thing. It's very silly. It's very petty that I'm even talking about this, but it's The Void. And honestly, I kind of felt the whole thing was funny, especially given the history. So yeah, hope you had a good laugh at my expense. It's a good reminder never to take yourself too seriously, because even when your friends tell you they saw you on Netflix, you have to ask, what did they see? And sometimes the answer is appalling.
Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm finding out how many pawns I need to beat Martin. This video idea was actually suggested by one of you. Thanks, Tiberius. If you guys have other ideas, feel free to leave them in the comments below. The way this will work is I will start with one pawn, and I will add a row for every game. Let's get started. Well, that worked out just about as expected. There's no way for me to win anymore because I just have a king. Let's go ahead and add a row for game 2. All right, we're back with game 2 with a whole new row of pawns. And I think my strategy is just, 1, not to let him get behind my pawns, because once he gets somewhere back here, there's no way that I'll be able to hold on to them with just my king. And 2, kind of play slow and just let him make a lot of mistakes before trying to capitalize on any of them. So I'll actually start with a king move this time. And he plays knight to a6. I can already feel a blunder coming, so I just need to play slow. I'd like to keep my king somewhere in the center so he's in reach of as many pawns as possible. We'll play king to c2, and he pushes c5. So we'll keep going with just king back to d2. He pushes h5. If he does continue with h4, then I can push g4, and we already have the beginning of a sort of impenetrable wall. So I'll just keep going back and forth, king back to c2. We do get h4, and obviously we don't want to trade in this position because he'd bring his rook out, this pawn is weak, he gets behind my pawns, and everything goes downhill from there. So we'll push g4 instead to kind of lock up the position. He plays rook to h7, and I'll just move back king to d2. And there we go, our first aggressive move, queen to a5. This pawn is already covered by our king that was in the center. This pawn is getting hit, so I really don't have a choice but to push pawn to a4. And we get our first Martin sacrifice. Brilliant sacrifice by Martin. Martin plays very aggressive chess. Queen takes c3. I have to think here very carefully, and my ultimate decision is just capture back. And here it comes. And this is my point. This is why I wanted to play slow, because I just needed the probability of Martin to make a blunder to go up. So we'll go ahead and capitalize on that, take the free rook, and we're met with knight to b4. I'm thinking maybe d4, remove the guard. If he takes, we take the knight. This discovered check isn't actually scary because I just moved my king back. This pawn doesn't do anything, so I think we'll go with that. We'll play d4. He ignores it. He plays knight to f6. I think here what makes most sense is just capturing this pawn, removing the guard, seeing if we can pick up another free piece. Right, Martin does not allow that. He plays check, forks my king and my hanging pawn, which luckily I can address both of those with a simple king move off to d3. And Martin gets a little bit carried away with the forks. He's been doing fork tactics recently, but he hasn't been doing free pieces tactics recently, so we'll just take that knight. And we're met with g5. Now, as we all know, en passant is forced, so I really don't have anything to think about, but I'll entertain the idea of pawn takes g5 as well, because this could actually be super strong. If he doesn't take my h5 pawn, I can actually just push my pawn and it'll be supported, and then push and try for a queen. If I do take and he takes back, I'm not super happy with my pawn structure, but I can just play something like maybe e4, king e3, f4, and try to make some progress with the pawns on the king side. So we'll capture this pawn, ignoring forced en passant, and he does in fact capture on h5. So Martin knows about passed pawns. I should be worried here, I think, about knight to f4, because it gives check, it picks up the pawn on h3, and it's going to be kind of hard for me to stop this pawn without ceasing all other activity to go address it. So I think I should actually play king to e4. It covers f4, and it supports pawn to f4, pawn to f5, and I still have some hopes and dreams of eventually getting a passed pawn. So we'll play king to e4. The king is my most active piece right now, and he plays rook to b8, which is kind of slow, but it makes some sense. He can probably force a pawn trade of some kind, for example, just by playing b6. I either give up the pawn or I push it, and I give it up anyways. So b6 kind of forces me to take if I don't want to lose the pawn for free, and then he'll recapture with the rook, activate his rook, and that's going to be very hard for me to hold on to. The way that I could address this is playing b4, That way, if b6 comes, I capture, he recaptures, I push b5, and the rook can't really do much about these two pawns. So I'll play that. I'll play b4. Oh, interesting. We're met with d6 instead. Not something I expected, but not something I'm particularly worried about either. If he takes, I take, and there's no longer a b pawn for him to target. So something like b6, I just take, or I could even push c6. That might be more challenging. So I'll ignore this altogether, and I'll just push f4. I'll continue with my plan. And Martin plays bishop f5, sacrificing another piece. He doesn't need all of these pieces. They're in his way. So I'll do him a favor and get rid of this bishop that was in his way. He was setting up a fork. Very nice. Knight to g3. He will probably pick up this pawn on e2 next, but I think this is really good for me because I can play king g4, and if I can pick up the h4 pawn and then shuffle my king back out of the way, I can actually have 3 pawns all marching into his position at the same time. Most likely the h pawn is the one that I will try to allow to make a run for it. So we'll play king to g4. He ignores the free pawn altogether and reroutes his knight to e4. I guess now he targets the c5 pawn. I don't really want to give him a free pawn, so I'll take on d6 with tempo. And he doesn't take back. I was going to say after he takes back, then I pick up the pawn. But I guess I'll just keep going. I'll capture this one next. Again with tempo, he finally takes back in light of his bishop being under attack. But he takes back with the king, which is a very unique decision. I'll continue by taking this pawn on h4. And he moves his king back. So this is looking really good. He's looking at the pawn on b4, but to be fair, he's also looking at the pawn on a4. I'm pretty much giving up those pawns at this point. I don't see any value in trying to defend them. So instead, I'll play king to g4, and I will start marching these pawns forward. So we'll go king to g4. He finally does pick up a free pawn, and we push. He plays knight to e4. I don't see any threat other than getting behind my pawns, but I want my king to march forward anyways, so I'll push again. He plays king to c7, which makes a lot of sense. Well, if this is actually his plan, if it's not just a random move. It does make a lot of sense if his plan is to play rook to g8 and try to get some coverage on these pawns with his rook. I'm not sure which one's better. Do I push king f5 and then try for e4? Because this is definitely slower. Pushing all 4 pawns together is definitely slower. Or do I push f5, g6 now, and just try to force the issue as quickly as possible? I'm kind of tempted to just put him in a critical situation, so we'll start with f5. He plays rook to a8, defending the very weakened a7 pawn. I think another thing that's important to consider here is that he has a dark squared bishop, so just by putting all of my pawns on light squares, for example with a g6 push, inherently there's no way for him to capture any of those pawns with his dark squared bishop. He'd have to capture them with his knight and his rook, and it seems really difficult after g6 to see how the knight and the rook are going to coordinate to actually fulfill that. So we'll go with the more solid option, g6. He plays knight to f6 check, which is really amusing. You'd think he would have set that up first with something like rook to h8, so that he actually has something to capture after, but he doesn't. He just plays check right away, and I think that just invites king to g5, targets the knight, brings the king closer to supporting the pawns. I don't think there's much more thought that needs to go into that. He pushes knight to g8. A very sketchy move, because what it does is it cuts off the rook from supporting the h8 square. So now I'm really interested in something like h6, h7, h8, maybe supported with g7. If the bishop tries to block, I play f6 or something of that nature. So we'll push h6. He gives check. Oh, I didn't see that check, actually. Wow, that's a really good skewer. He gives check, and now he's hitting the pawn with 2 different pieces. My best bet is to just play king to h5. Oh, that's really frustrating, because now I lose the pawn that I was really hoping would make it to the other side. But we'll march forward, king to h5. And in Martin we trust. Martin would not get rid of our only winning chance. Martin will play rook to f8 after realizing the f-pawn is in danger. Oh no. Realistically, what he should have done is capture this pawn with his knight. That way, if a capture here occurs, he recaptures with his knight, and these pawns are all too far disconnected to actually cause any sort of issues. I think the appropriate follow-up here is g7, tempo on the rook, and then after h7, it's impossible for him to stop me from queening. So we'll play g7. Oh, Martin finds the critical move, knight f6 check. There's only one legal move on the board, and I'll play it, king back to h4, and he finesses my pawn structure with rook to g8. Very nicely done. I will now play e4, just like I mentioned. Hopefully he'll take the poison pawn. If after e4 he takes this pawn, this is going to be very, very hard to hold on to any fighting chances. But we'll play e4. And Martin just completely goes off the rails and decides that the queen side is looking ripe for an attack, and launches a5. I think my plan now is to try to just bum rush him with my pawns. I think I'm in a good position to do that now. I have no legal forward moves with my king anymore, and it would make no sense to try to walk my king all the way around. He's gotten his steps in already. He marched all the way through the board. His Fitbit is happy. He's doing fine. So I'm going to try to bum rush him with pawns instead with like e5, try to remove the knight from defending h7. And if he actually moves his knight into h7, it's a little hard for me to see how to make progress, but maybe I can push like king h5, e6, capture, capture, king g6. There's still fighting chances. So we'll push e5. And that was not on the books. That was not on my bingo card. Rook to b8 was not on my bingo card. I think I just take the knight. I take the free knight. There's nobody defending h7. So realistically takes, and then the critical move would be bishop takes h6, because he even has options of rook to g8, sack the bishop, and then he's just up a clean rook. The other option is push e6, but if captures, captures, I've left a knight on the table defending both of these pawns, and this pawn isn't going anywhere by himself. So we'll make the only move that really makes sense, and that's capture the knight. And I think I can say that we're winning now. I think I can confidently say that Martin is not going to win this. With king to c6, he misses the critical move, which is bishop takes h6. This pawn is not going anywhere without support, but now I can push h7, and you can't stop both of these. What you can do is give a little intermediate check, and I will shuffle onto a light square so you don't check me anymore. And yeah, king to c5, it's just not going to be enough. We'll queen with the g-pawn. He captures, and we queen again. Now it's just a matter of cleaning this up. I'll go ahead and take. I kind of want to get another queen just to just to promote my pawns. They worked really hard. They deserve a little promotion. So we'll give them a little promotion. And we will take the free bishop on the way as well. Thank you. And we've promoted all of our surviving pawns. It's the least I could do. I put them in a terrible situation. So I'll give them their promotion. Well deserved. We'll go ahead and wrap up this checkmate. And that's it. All right. Thank you again, Tiberius, for the idea. This was actually really fun. I hate playing Martin because he's so random, but it's always a good time. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm giving... So we'll take on h6. We do get the queen trade. Whoa, and a queen sack, which we will happily accept. Okay, we're now only down one queen, but our own queen is also missing, as well as the fact that we've lost the ability to castle. So this could get a little bit tricky. We'll play knight to c3 and just continue development for now. Knight to f5, we'll play e3 covering d4, and we'll just kind of like pseudo castle. Right, we'll continue development, and now that we've got all our pieces out, we can start looking for opportunities. So maybe something like knight to g5 could be interesting. Maybe just doubling up my rooks or bringing more pieces to the center. I like knight to g5. It looks very attractive with that f7 attack, which Martin counters with a check of his own, but we can intercept that check with e4, and now we're threatening the bishop and f7, so he's going to have to play bishop g6, or I guess bishop e6, which just loses a pawn. He sees neither of those and just returns to home base. We have the option to take on f7 with the bishop, but the problem is after king d5, I'll play f3, just kind of consolidating my position. We get a random rook move, so I'll play knight to b5 and see if I can my position. We get a random rook move, so I'll play knight to b5 and see if I can get c7 with the fork. Okay, he sees it and defends c7, so we'll take the opportunity to boot the knight from c5. He completely ignores that, so we'll take the free knight, and he can't even recapture because this is pinned. So we'll continue on this capturing brigade. Okay, and he places his own bishop in the line of fire of my pawn, which I will accept. And he recaptures with the king, so I can finally take on c7. He moves the rook out of the way, and I'm tempted to play something like bishop e6, rook d7, and see if I can wrap this up kind of quickly. We'll give that a try, bishop e6, and see what he plays. Okay, he plays rook to b8. No concerns whatsoever, defending a pawn that isn't attacked. So we'll continue with rook d7 check. We get the expected king to f6. We'll continue with another check. And now we'll play knight to d5. I'm not sure exactly how I'm supposed to finish him off, but it feels like there's supposed to be a way here. I'm thinking rook to f6 check, and he has two different options. Maybe I can just take the exchange and play that. Seems simple, so we'll just play check. He does move back, and we could just take the exchange and then play him down slowly in an endgame. And I think we'll go with that, because I'm not seeing anything better right now. So we'll take. He does recapture, and we'll move rook to d6, just looking for this check, and we'll just try to pick up some pawns. So rook d6. We'll give the check anyways. King moves back into a corner, which is devastating because now there's knight to f6, and I'm not sure how he's going to stop this checkmate. So knight to f6, right? Check is the only option. We'll pick up the knight. Another check, we'll just shuffle out of the way. Threaten the rook. We'll just pick it up. And checkmate. All right, we're on to giving Martin 4 queens for this next game. All right, Martin is back. many, many queens richer. And I'm kind of intimidated to play d4 again because it feels like Martin can and will be aggressive too quickly. I opened up my position for weird combinations. So I'll play knight to f3. Martin plays queen to c5, which I'm not really sure what it does, but it's not bad either. We'll continue with knight to c3 so I can cover c2 as well. And we get b5, which is actually super aggressive. But I can play aggressive too. Maybe I can play d4 here. It just attacks so many queens that I think it looks good. So I'll play d4. He sacks a queen right away. We'll recapture with the rook. He sacks another queen. We'll recapture with the pawn. He recaptures with his own queen. And we're finally getting to that point where Martin has so many queens that if he just takes all of my pieces and loses every single queen, it's still winning for him. I don't want to offer a queen trade, so instead I'm going to play knight to d2. Which opens up f2 again, but he's not actually threatening anything right now. So play knight to d2. He takes on d4 with the f6 queen, so there's no actual way for me to defend d2. My last hope here is to play e3 and maybe bishop to d3, which is unfortunate. But it's what I said. He's got so many queens, he can just throw them in my face, and something's got to stick at some point. We'll play e3. Oh, he does take with check. And if I take here, he recaptures with mate. All right, no choice. And finally, Martin won, and it only took him 7 queens. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next one.
This level should be impossible. It relies on using Magic Koopas to give you exactly the right item to proceed. When a Magic Koopa hits a block, it will randomly transform it into one of 7 things. Like a mushroom to get through this fire, or past this unavoidable saw, or this one too, and this one. There are 18 of these blocks throughout the level, so the odds of getting 18 Magic Koopas to do exactly what you want is 1 over 7 to the 18th power, or this number, which is literally 1 in a quadrillion. But as it turns out, Mario Maker 2's random number generation isn't actually random. If you press the exact same buttons every time, like just holding up and B, it will give you the exact same result every time. So it's actually very easy, even though this level should be impossible. It relies on using Magic Koopas to give you exactly the right item to proceed. When a Magic Koopa hits a block, it will randomly transform it into one of 7 things. Like a mushroom to get through this fire, or past this unavoidable saw, or this one too, and this one.
Hi, I'm God. You get to ask me one question. Is there any validity to the claim that pay-to-win skins were created? You know, where there's advantages because of the certain cosmetic characteristics of a skin? Yes, of course. You're welcome. But don't tell anybody I said that. Oh, I knew it. Okay, so who was it? EA? Riot Games? Oh, you mean... Hi, I'm God. You get to ask me one question. Is there any validity to the claim that pay-to-win skins were created? You know, where there's advantages because of the certain cosmetic characteristics of a skin? Yes, of course. You're welcome. But don't tell anybody I said that. Oh, I knew it. Okay, so who was it? EA? Riot Games? Oh, you mean... Hi, I'm God. You get to ask me one question. Is there any validity to the claim that pay-to-win skins were created? You know, where there's advantages because of the certain cosmetic characteristics of a skin? Yes, of course. You're welcome. But don't tell anybody I said it. Oh, I knew it. Okay, so who was it? EA? Riot Games? Oh, you mean... Hi, I'm God. You get to ask me one question. Is there any validity to the claim that pay-to-win skins were created? You know, where there's advantages because of the certain cosmetic characteristics of a skin? Yes, of course. You're welcome. But don't tell anybody I said it. Oh, I knew it. Okay, so who was it? EA? Riot Games? Oh.
You bear the mark. You are cursed.
You give us the fire, we'll give them hell.
Do not speak so lightly of hell.
Easy, Tech. I didn't mean the real thing.
Gentlemen, we are here. Where have you taken us?
We should be closer to the lab. No matter. This way, if you please.
You're late. Doctor.
Doctor? Is there a problem?
2 for each of them. Survival depends on it. Yeah. You remember. Some survival depends on it.
Is there a problem?
2 for each of them. Survival depends on it. Yeah. You remember. So much to do. A vessel for Maxis. The opening of the gateways.
Are you sure you're not getting confused?
You'll be needing this. The Chronorium. But I've already read it. Read it again. What is the meaning of this? The pages have changed. They... Our blood. Mine blood. You cannot possibly expect me to let this happen. You son of a bitch!
Let me guess. You're not gonna let us in on what that was about.
Or explain why you have people in freezer. asshole.